Broadcasting live to tape from beautiful Omaha, Nebraska, where on a clear night you can almost see a week 13 is not all half bad. It's the RutgersKev Show.
Kevin O'Keefe gets the win at Charlotte.
Kevin O'Keefe is going to take his first win and only his third start in the series. Beautiful job for Kevin O'Keefe.
Gonna troll me forever.
Oh my gosh, Sean. Yeah, Sean, take a look at his on his feet there. It's very appropriate today. Oh boy.
I'm Matt Malone. I stream iRacing, but when I'm not racing, I'm listening to the RutgersKev Show with your host, RutgersKev.
How does he have 38 viewers?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the RutgersKev Show. Every seat in iRacing is now going to be a new season of the podcast, starting now. It also coincides with the Patreon that I ran and I'm still running. So I'd like to give a big thank you to all of my supporters, Anthony Mahone, Billy Smith, Bruce Smith, and Robert Wolenga. Thanks to you, this audio podcast can still continue on iTunes and Patreon, iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and all the way you listen to the audio podcast. If you are listening to the audio podcast and you just want to support the show, the Patreon's still running, of course. It's patreon.com/RutgersKev. I actually didn't want to start with a plug. I kind of wanted to start with my, I don't even know what the word to use. So I guess I just come out and say it. So David Cater died. It was announced on the forums today. So if you don't know who David Cater is, he's a longtime member of iRacing who was big on oval setups. He was actually the go-to setup maker for the top teams when basically the Peak Series first started, and he really kind of knew what he was talking about and could really tweak setups, and was very, even though setups are like a private thing, he was very forthcoming with what he knew. Like, he wouldn't just go out and give you the setup, but he would give you the tools to make your own setup. And in doing that, he hosted a couple seminars at the iRace for Life events, and you can find those on YouTube. So it's Cater, C-A-T-E-R is his name. So if you just search David Cater iRacing, you'll find his videos. You'll find his little setup shops, I think they're called. Now, I honestly have no idea how relevant the information is to today's build, but you could just see like the breadth of knowledge this guy had and the fact that he was willing to share. Unfortunately, he had some underlying health issues, and therefore he couldn't get life insurance. So there is a GoFundMe to pay for his funeral costs. The link will be in the description. You'll also find it in the iRacing forums. I'm sure the rest in peace thread is going to be near the top for a while. He's very well loved in the iRacing community, and basically this is a big loss. And I consider him a content creator just like anybody else. So imagine Empty Box dying. This is something that basically is around that level. This podcast is going to be about the Week 13 build, a new patch, basically, in iRacing that included the day-night cycles and the two Formula cars, a 3.0 and a 3.5. Now, the RutgersKev Show is not a news show. We're basically a opinion show, and we give you general background information regarding content creators and other people in iRacing. So if you want a detailed analysis on what's in the build, I have to give a shout out to the iRacers Lounge. Okay, it's another podcast. It's called the iRacers Lounge. And they spent 2 hours basically reading the build notes. And sometimes they didn't even know what the things meant in the build notes, but they're like, hey, that's in the build too. And, hey, great. So if you want to know exactly what's in the build from top to bottom, the iRacers Lounge is a podcast, okay? So for purposes of this show, I'm basically taking the impression that you, the listener, are a member of iRacing and that you have experienced the build before. So I'll just give you my feedback on it. Matt Malone said it best. He said that when iRacing does something, they take the time and do it right. And, you got to give them a lot of credit for that. They did the day-night cycles right. There's really nothing to say other than good job iRacing. They really nailed it. Now, you can nitpick a little bit, including myself. I'm having some frame rate issues in VR, and I'm actually getting kind of frustrated because I think the level of computer I have should be more than enough to handle a 10-year-old game. And it's not. I mean, I have to turn down the graphics to low or medium. On a 10-year-old game with the computer I have, that is ridiculous. I just don't think that's how it should be. Now, I am in VR, and blah, 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 blah. If I was running triples, I probably could run max graphics. But, you know, I can run a Assetto Corsa in VR with near full graphics, and it looks fine. Why can't I run iRacing in full VR? But, hey, that's nitpicking, you know, and so I'll work on it. I'll change the settings. I'll figure out what I need to do. Also, I haven't driven the car yet, but all the feedback on the Formula car is very high. So again, iRacing took the time. They did it right. Kudos to iRacing. There's really nothing else to say. Also, because this is the new year, the calendar year is rolling over to 2019, they released their special events schedule. When they released their special events schedule, there was a lot of feedback, negative feedback on what they were doing with certain events and certain races, which I'm not going to break down right now. But what they did was they listened to the community and they fixed it while they still could. Like, you know, for instance, the first special event of the year is the Roar before the 2.4, and they decided that that was going to have just the Kia and the Cadillac. And people were like, well, what happened to the Mustang? What happened to the MX-5? And they just gave like no explanation, just like, nope, it's Kia and Cadillac, that's it. And people were like, what? It's been the Mustang and the MX-5 for years, at least 6 years. So why just suddenly change it out of the blue? That's, you know, that's not right. And credit to iRacing, they did whatever they did behind the scenes, and they changed it, and they fixed it. Hooray, you know, good job. Nürburgring 24 had the Kia. They had the Kia last year, and, like, nobody ran it. They had the Kia in VLN last year, and nobody ran it. Nobody ran it so bad, they even kicked the Kia out of the VLN season for next year. Well, they released a special events schedule, and the Nürburgring, the 24 hours, had the Kia in it. And the community went, hey, wait a second, why is the Kia in there? You know, nobody's going to run the Kia. You're taking up a spot. More importantly, you're taking up top split spots for a car that, like, literally 30 teams are going to run, and half of them are going to be in the top split. So take it out. And you know what? They listened, and they did it. So good for them. In news relevant to me, Mike Woolett of the Major Series made a big play to iRacing to try to be the organizer of the special events, try to run it kind of like how the majors run it. And they weren't willing to go at that step. Now, so what Mike did was he made all the majors events on the same weekend of the special events. So that's got its positives and its negatives, okay? The negatives right off the bat are, holy crap, that's a lot of racing. So last year, I did both versions of the Nürburgring 24, and I did a lot of the 24 hours of Le Mans, and I did a lot of the 24 hours of Daytona. So now I'm supposed to do that Saturday into Sunday, and then Sunday night also race the majors. And sometimes they're even a different car combination. For instance, the 12 hours of Sebring in iRacing is different than the majors 120 minutes of Sebring. So the majors 120 minutes of Sebring is with the camel cars. So on the same weekend. So I have to race 12 hours of Sebring and then turn around and race 2 hours in the camel cars. Totally different car combination. And there's majors as mandatory practice that you have to run the week of the race. So not only am I practicing for the majors series in a totally different car and a totally different discipline, I'm also training for the Sebring 12 hours. I mean, that puts a lot of pressure on you. Also, yeah, so, I mean, so for some people, it's just like, man, that's too much. I'm not going to do majors this year. And that's a bummer. On the flip side, it's almost like for somebody that has a wife and kids, it's not that bad, actually. So now it's only 15 Sundays a year where I have to say to my wife, okay, this weekend I got to do iRacing. Hey, that's not too bad, you know? It's almost like when you did all the special events and you did majors and you're running for the championship in majors. Well, I wasn't exactly running for the championship. I was running for top 10 in points. But, hey, to me that mattered. I was be like, well, if I had to pick one, the special event or the majors, I'm going to pick the majors. Now I maybe don't have to pick between the two. I could just do everything because it's all on the same weekend. So that's good. So let me give you a little rundown on what's going to happen in upcoming episodes of the podcast. I have a couple of guests lined up already. We were going to record a guest on Sunday, but it kind of fell through the cracks. So that's coming. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record as many interviews as possible throughout the season, put them all in the can, and then do a little intro segment, maybe do a comedy bit if it's relevant, and then throw it to the interview, and that'll be the episode of the podcast. So the plan is to do at least 3 episodes a month. And right now, because of the Patreons, we have enough for 6 hours of content a month audio. If I fill 6 hours of content a month and you want to listen to the whole thing, God help you. But the plan is to do at least 3 episodes a month. Whether those are an hour long, 90 minutes long, it really depends on what the topic of conversation we're talking about and how good the interview is. If the interview only calls for a half hour of conversation, I'm not going to stretch it out to an hour for no reason, right? For those of you that listen to the video version on YouTube, it's going to be like some episodes are going to have video content and some episodes are not going to have video content. That's basically, it just depends on the amount of time I have and whether or not the episode calls for a video element. So, for instance, if there's a World Championship event and there's a major accident or something that requires, it to be broken down, it would be nice to be able to see the accident on the screen. So that would be relevant to the discussion. We'll put the crash up there, right? For conversation on week 13, you want to know what day-night looks like? Just put up an iRacing day-night video into your YouTube. I think you know by now what it looks like. I don't think I need to show it to you. But I am going to record every single one of my races, and hopefully maybe we can just throw a race on in the background or something like that. So there might be some video element to all the episodes, or it might just be a title screen the whole time. We'll see. It really depends on how much time we have. So week 13 is also known for being fun and being silly. So now I have a special silly interview for you. And then after the interview is going to be a donk. So again, thanks everybody for listening. Week 13, new build in iRacing, day-night transitions. They knocked it out of the park. Good job, iRacing. I'm looking forward to the damage model. I'm looking forward to what iRacing can do in the future. And I think for all intents and purposes, we are now in iRacing 3.0. About 7 years ago or something, they decided to call the next build of iRacing 2.0. I think we are now in iRacing 3.0. Congratulations to iRacing. And now it's time for the interview. It's time for the RutgersKev interview, where RutgersKev does an interview. Hello, everybody. It's week 13, and that means it's time for our interview with Harry. Harry, how are you doing today?
Good.
Tell all the listeners how old you are.
4.
Okay, now remember, we don't need to yell into the microphone. Just use your normal voice, okay? So how old are you?
4.
You're 4 years old. Do you know when your birthday is?
On July 29th.
July 29th. Okay, so that's like season 3. You'll be 5 years old. Do you know that Daddy likes to do iRacing?
Yeah.
Okay, so is Daddy good at iRacing?
Yeah.
How does Daddy do iRacing? Do you know?
I forgot.
Does Daddy use his computer?
Yeah.
And does he play on his computer?
Yeah.
Does he have a cockpit where he drives the car?
He drives his car.
Is Daddy a good race car driver?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think Daddy's a good race car driver?
Maybe because you race cars very fast.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Daddy races cars really fast. So what Daddy likes to do is drive iRacing. That's called his hobby. That's something that Daddy likes to do for fun. What's something that you like to do for fun?
Maybe do nothing.
Yeah, okay. Doing nothing is a way to have fun. Do you like to play with your Legos?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite TV shows?
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol. I love Paw Patrol too. Who's your favorite on Paw Patrol?
Chase.
Yeah, Chase. My favorite's Rubble.
Why?
I like Rubble. I think he's funny.
Marshall's funnier.
Marshall is funnier. Yeah, Marshall's funnier. Do you have a favorite race car driver?
Chase a race car.
Chase race car, right. Chase Elliott's your favorite race car driver. Do you remember in the Daytona 500 when he ran out of gas?
Yeah.
Right? And we were watching it. We were like, oh, no, he's out of gas, right? Right? Remember that?
Yeah, but what is he just goes to a gas field?
Yeah, he's got to go get gas fuel. Right, but it was the last lap of the race. There wasn't enough time for gas fuel.
I don't know.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so that's a little background on Harry, right? Are you going to be a race car driver someday?
Maybe?
You're going to play on the computer with Daddy and race your car against Daddy's car?
Maybe?
And are you going to play Mario Kart with me?
Maybe?
And you're going to be on Twitch?
Maybe?
Maybe. And you're going to be a ninja, right?
Yeah.
A ninja soccer player?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to play newscasters?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play newscasters, okay? Do. It's time for the 10 o'clock news with your hosts, Kevin and Harry. Tonight's top story. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was tragically killed today over Barcelona when he was hit by a 747. Witnesses say the reindeer in Spain was hit mainly by the plane. And now with traffic report, it's Harry.
I don't know.
You don't know what's going on with the traffic?
No.
Okay, now with the weather report, it's Harry. What's happening with the weather, Harry?
It was a stormy night, then windy, blah, blah, blah.
It was a stormy night, then blah, blah, blah.
Then Rudolph got it.
Okay, yeah, very good. Okay. And then we had a lot of sports, right? There's a lot of sports activities, right? So what's today's top sports news?
It's basketball.
Basketball, yay. What happened in basketball world?
Takes the race car driver win.
Wow, that really is a very exciting show. Okay, so how do we end our news show, June? Do you know what to say? You say back to you, right?
Back to you, Bobby.
Thank you very much, Harry. And that's the end of the 11 o'clock news. And remember, we're always watching. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so now do you want to say a knock-knock joke?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Knock-knock who?
Knock, 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 knock.
Knock, 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 knock.
Knock, knock till we told it.
Yeah, you want to start recording it? Yeah. Okay, we are recording it now. Okay, so what do you want to say now that we're recording?
Bye.
You want to say bye? Yeah. Well, how do we say bye on this show?
I don't know.
When we end the show, what do we say?
We will be back.
No, not the news show. What do we say on the end of the RutgersKev Show?
That's the end of my news channel. Donk.
Donk. Bye, Harry.
That's the end of my show. Donk.